Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are focusing on a pair of lives that really defies any conventional biography. Lives that moved in such extraordinary synchronization from their birth through a glittering six-decade career, a career that spanned continents and, major cultural movements, all the way right up to their final documented moment. We are undertaking a deep dive into the lives and careers of the German twin sisters Alice and Ellen Kessler, the iconic Kessler twins.
This is a truly remarkable subject. The source material we have covers not just this extensive professional timeline, but a unique personal bond that was, in many ways, the central performance of their lives.
Right.
We're looking at their entire existence as singers, dancers, and actresses who became really icons in Germany, Italy, France, and even the United States.
And we should probably acknowledge the timing of this right away.
We should. The sources we're using reflect an incredibly recent and sensitive event they're passing on November 17, 2025. The material itself even notes that it's currently being heavily edited because of how immediate the news is.
So we're reviewing the facts in the context as they are currently documented and being reported globally.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this timeline. We're looking at a professional activity span that runs from 1942 all the way to 2016.
Just think about that.
The cultural shifts they witnessed and adapted to over those 74 years of performing, it's staggering.
They were born on August 20, 1936, in Nürnberg, which at the time was part of Gau-Saxony.
And that historical marker is important. For you, the listener, Gau-Saxony was an administrative division during the Nazi era. So their childhood, their earliest development was deeply embedded in the historical upheaval of World War II and its aftermath.
That's right. They were the children of Paul and Elsa Kessler. And that long timeline culminates with their shared passing on November 17th, 2025, in Grunwald, Bavaria, at the age of 89.
89 years of life. And nearly all of it lived side by side, both professionally and privately.
What's so fascinating is how they navigated not just time, but geopolitical and cultural boundaries.
Yeah, they were known in Germany, their homeland, as Die Kessler-Zwillinge.
And then in Italy, where they had, arguably, their greatest television success, they were Le Gemelle Kessler.
So they weren't just regional stars.
Not at all. They were transnational figures. Their brand of, sophisticated, precise glamour. It just translated successfully across all these diverse post-war European markets.
Given the comprehensive nature of their journey, this synchronized journey, from the political escape in their youth to the finality of their shared passing, the mission of this deep dive is really to trace the facts of their remarkable public and professional lives.
And we're maintaining a focus entirely on the documented material.
Right. Acknowledging the profound and often joyful legacy they left across film and television, while contrasting it with the solemnity of the final documented event.
And it is essential to focus on that unique legacy of joy and artistic excellence. Their careers were defined by this rigorous discipline and a boundary-pushing artistic spirit, and those are the facts we're here to document extensively today.
Let's move then immediately to the foundation of their career. It began under some pretty exceptional circumstances, rooted firmly in the classical traditions of performance in post-war Germany.
The foundation of their performance identity.
Yeah.
It was built on incredible discipline. They started ballet classes at the tender age of 6.
And for comparison, that would be 1942.
Yes, right in the heart of the war.
So despite all the obvious difficulties and disruption of that era, their commitment to classical training was immediate and profound.
It clearly paid dividends very, very quickly. By age 11, the twins had progressed far enough in that rigorous training to be accepted into the Leipzig Opera's child ballet program.
And the Leipzig Opera House was, and it still is, a highly prestigious institution.
It is.
For two 11-year-olds to be accepted there, it really speaks volumes about their innate talent, their dedication, and, the early recognition of their potential as synchronized performers.
Indeed. It demonstrates not just talent, but the fact that their lives, even at that young age, were structured around professional performance goals. But that foundation was built in what was rapidly becoming a divided country.
Right.
And the political environment soon forced the defining non-performance decision of their early lives.
We need to talk about their flight from East Germany. This decision basically cleared the path for the international career they would have, a career that would have been impossible if they had stayed behind the Iron Curtain.
It's a crucial pivot point. This is 1952.
And the twins were only 16 years old.
Just 16.
Uh-huh.
They, along with their parents Paul and Elsa, used a visitor's visa to escape East Germany, which was the newly established Soviet-backed German Democratic Republic, or GDR.
Fleeing the GDR in the early 1950s was, it was fraught with peril and immense consequence. It wasn't just a physical move, it was a political statement and a complete professional gamble.
The sources suggest that for any ambitious artist in the early GDR, the cultural constraints were tightening very rapidly.
The state dictated art.
Exactly. For dancers trained in classical, Western-style ballet and variety arts, staying meant stifled creativity and confinement to a very limited cultural sphere.
So their escape was an act of profound self-determination.
It was. They recognized that their talent could only flourish in the West. This move fundamentally altered their entire professional destiny. It opened them up to the expansive, opportunity-rich entertainment spheres of Western Europe and eventually the U.S.
It's just astonishing that immediately after such a high-stakes escape, the professional focus returned instantly. Where did they land and how quickly did they start performing again?
They landed in West Germany,
Yeah.
specifically in Dusseldorf. And the speed of their return to the stage is almost unbelievable. It really highlights their intrinsic identity as performers.
So what happened?
They immediately began performing at the Palladium Theater.
Immediately.
This rapid professional insertion into the Western scene. It just demonstrates the urgency of their need to establish themselves and their reliance on their performance skills as a survival mechanism in a new environment. Their craft was their passport.
That's a powerful narrative. Using art to escape political constraint and establish a new life. And from Dusseldorf, they quickly jumped onto the world stage, which really set the scene for their global ascent.
The next major chapter is defined by glamour and sophistication. Paris. For performers in the mid-1950s, especially dancers and showgirls, there was no better launchpad for global recognition than the Parisian cabaret scene.
And specifically, the legendary Lido.
The Lido, yes.
The sources document their tenure there from 1955 to 1960. That's 5 solid years at the absolute pinnacle of European variety entertainment.
It was. And the Lido was synonymous with extravagant stage production, lavish costumes, and above all, precise, synchronized choreography.
A magnet for the global elite.
For celebrity audiences, yes. And the Kessler Twins brought a unique blend to this scene. They had the technical rigor they learned from the Leipzig Opera.
All right, that classical training.
But they combined it with the sensuality and the high energy that cabaret required. Their synchronized, long-legged routines became their signature.
And that tenure solidified their reputation.
It transformed them from talented German dancers into world-class, sophisticated showgirls who could command any stage.
And it was during this high-profile Lido era that they had an interaction that truly placed them within the context of global emerging pop culture. We're talking about their meeting with Elvis Presley.
Yes, the sources specify the date. June 17th, 1959. Elvis Presley was, of course, the most famous man in the world at the time, but he was serving in the U.S. Army and was on leave in Paris.
And the fact that the German twins, these rising stars at the Lido, were the ones he chose to socialize with and be photographed with.
It connects them directly to the burgeoning global youth and celebrity culture of the late 1950s. It lent them immediate international cultural currency beyond the dance hall circuit.
It's such an iconic photo opportunity. It links that post-war European glamour directly to American rock and roll. But 1959 was also the year they took on a significant national role.
A huge one.
Representing their newly adopted country on the biggest pan-European stage, Eurovision.
Absolutely. They represented West Germany in the Eurovision Song Contest in 1959. And this wasn't just a musical performance.
No.
It was a representation of the new, modern, sophisticated face of the Federal Republic of Germany, West Germany, on the global stage, eager to shed the shadow of the war years.
Their song was Heute Abend wollen wir tanzen gehen,
which translates to, tonight we want to go dancing.
a title that is perfectly suited to their energetic stage personas.
It really is. They finished in 8th place.
So beyond the specific ranking, what did this performance achieve for them?
Well, it cemented their position in German popular culture as, national treasures and symbols of post-war recovery and optimism. But more importantly, it showcased their versatility. They weren't just dancers. They were singers and complete entertainers capable of managing the pressure of a live global television broadcast.
So it confirmed their status as major figures in the rising West German entertainment machine. And that successful run at the Lido and the visibility from Eurovision also served as a crucial professional networking hub. It really paved the way for their next massive career shift.
And that shift was south, to Italy.
Yeah.
It was in Paris that they met Don Lurio, a U.S.-born Italian choreographer.
Okay.
And Lurio recognized that their unique blend of precision and charm was exactly what the rapidly growing Italian television market needed. He was instrumental in bringing them over.
That sounds like a very astute piece of talent spotting.
It was. They first performed in Italy in 1961,
Mhm.
and then they officially moved their residence there in 1962.
And this marks the beginning of their definitive Italian golden age.
It does.
They became immensely popular through the RAI television variety show Studio Uno.
To understand their Italian fame, you really have to understand Studio Uno. It ran from 1961 to 1966. And the show wasn't just popular, it was the definitive variety program of early Italian television. RAI was the dominant broadcaster, and Studio Uno was prime-time Saturday night entertainment.
So, why the Kessler Twins? What was the specific niche that Jamel Kessler filled on a program like that made them so instantly recognizable and beloved?
They brought an element of foreign, almost clinical precision combined with this incredible glamour that just captivated the Italian audience.
Interesting.
Italian variety shows at the time were often a mix of, operatic performance, comedy, light music. The Kessler synchronized dance routines, often with complex formations and stylish costumes.
Yeah.
It introduced a level of European chic and technical perfection that was novel and captivating.
They were seen as sophisticated cultural imports.
Yes, and they became household names. Their ability to deliver complicated Italian dialogues and lyrics further endeared them to the audience. It guaranteed their sustained and profound popularity throughout the entire 1960s.
The synchronization of their careers is it's truly striking. They moved countries, they mastered new languages for performance, they navigated distinct cultural expectations, always together.
Oh.
But European stardom wasn't their final frontier. They successfully crossed the Atlantic and achieved significant visibility in the United States.
The 1960s marked the peak of their global fame. And achieving success in the U.S., particularly as a non-British, non-French European act so soon after World War II.
It was a tremendous accomplishment.
It was. It speaks directly to their crossover appeal, this glamorous, disciplined duality that transcended any language barriers.
And their popularity in the United States is well documented through specific television appearances, which was the main way to get national visibility back then. Where did they make their American debut?
Their American television debut was on the CBS variety show The Red Skelton Hour.
A huge show.
A behemoth of American primetime television. This was during season 12, so 1962-63, a massive audience exposure opportunity. Appearing on a show focused on comedy and spectacle meant they were immediately being broadcast into millions of American homes, establishing their image as these sleek, sophisticated dancers.
And that debut launched them onto the must-see list for other major variety programs.
It did. They appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show.
Of course. The quintessential launching pad for any international talent hoping for mainstream acceptance in the U.S.
Appearing on Sullivan was the stamp of approval. It meant their act had wide appeal, not just in niche entertainment circles, but across mainstream America. Their routines on Sullivan, much like on Studio Uno, emphasized their duality. The matching costumes, the flawless timing, and the novelty of twin performers.
And they followed that up.
They did, with a performance on The Danny Kaye Show in 1966. Another major variety program that further solidified their status as recurring international guests on American airwaves throughout the decade.
And beyond this relentless schedule of variety shows, their portfolio was also broadening with film roles, leveraging their physical grace and, their striking looks.
Their filmography is quite extensive. It began early with West German productions like As Long as There Are Pretty Girls in 1955. But as their fame grew, they moved into these massive international co-productions, which showcased their ability to perform in different languages and environments.
Right.
They appeared in the historical adventure film Eric the Conqueror in 1961.
And most notably, the epic biblical drama Sodom and Gomorrah in 1962. What do the sources say about their roles in these large-scale films?
In films like Sodom and Gomorrah, they were credited specifically as dancers. And this highlights a really important aspect of their career. While they were singers and actresses in variety shows in cinema, their physical and visual presence, their capacity for highly synchronized, often exotic dance choreography, that was the primary commodity.
And these roles guaranteed worldwide distribution of their image.
Exactly, showcasing them alongside major international stars and cementing their reputation for cinematic glamour. We also see them in films like Dead Woman from Beverly Hills in 1964, further diversifying their media exposure.
That exposure was absolutely massive. They weren't just entertainers, they became cultural figures.
They did.
And the ultimate evidence of this assimilation into the American consciousness comes from their feature on the cover of Life magazine around 1962 or 1963.
That Life cover is the definitive proof of arrival in the American mainstream.
Yeah.
In the early 1960s, a feature on the cover of Life meant you were nationally recognized, a subject of cultural discussion, and relevant beyond the entertainment pages.
It signifies their successful translation from European showgirls to American media darlings.
It does.
And that visibility allowed them to achieve another culturally significant milestone later in life, one that dramatically redefined their public image. The Playboy cover shoot. This was controversial, but it was also highly successful.
This happened at a defining point in their career timeline. They agreed to pose on the cover of the Italian edition of Playboy at the age of 40.
40.
This move was a calculated risk. It challenged conventional expectations for aging female performers, particularly in, conservative 1970s Italy.
40 years old, still commanding attention and redefining glamour in a magazine that traditionally focused on much younger models. What did this do for their brand?
It accomplished several things at once. First, it confirmed their enduring status as sex symbols, demonstrating that their appeal had not waned. Second, it was a defiant statement against ageism in the entertainment industry. They transitioned successfully from the polished 60s showgirl image to a more mature, powerful, and sexually confident image in the 70s.
And there's quantifiable proof of its impact.
There is. The sources document that this specific issue became the fastest-selling Italian Playboy to that date.
Wow. That statistic is crucial.
It is. It confirms that the audience was hungry for that specific cultural moment. The twins understood the power of their synchronized visual brand, and they leveraged it perfectly. They repositioned themselves from variety stars of the past to enduring cultural icons who were still setting trends and defying norms.
Their career arc is really a masterclass in adaptation.
It is.
From the discipline of the GDR ballet school to the defining glamour of a 1970s magazine cover. Their entire journey really encapsulates the post-war European narrative, starting in the cultural constraints of the East, leveraging talent to find freedom, conquering the variety stages of Paris and Rome, and then achieving mainstream success in America. And that brings us to the final long chapter of their lives, the return home, the accumulation of honors, and the unique details of their synchronized personal relationships.
After decades abroad, primarily in Italy, they made the significant decision to return to Germany in 1986.
Okay.
They settled in Grunwald, which is a highly desirable residential area near Munich in Bavaria, and this location ultimately became the foundation for their later life and their legacy.
The decision to settle near Munich suggests a desire to reconnect with their roots in Bavaria, but their fame had also earned them recognition far beyond the stage.
It had.
Their legacy wasn't just measured in celebrity, it was recognized by governments and official bodies.
That's correct. They received multiple high-level governmental honors, specifically for their work promoting German-Italian cooperation through show business.
So they acted as cultural diplomats.
Perhaps unintentionally, but yes. By being so successful and popular in both nations, they bridged cultural divides through entertainment.
Let's detail some of these specific honors as they really show the breadth and seriousness of their impact.
The list is distinguished. It reflects national, regional, and cross-border recognition. In 1987, shortly after they returned home, they received the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany,
which is one of Germany's highest honors for lifetime achievement in service.
It is.
And that recognition continued well into the new century. It demonstrates their enduring connection to their birthplace.
Precisely. In 2006, they were named honorary citizens of Grimma, a town very close to their birthplace in Saxony.
And then, perhaps most poignantly, in the year of their passing, 2025, they were honored with the Bavarian Order of Merit.
Receiving that award in their adopted home state right at the end of their lives, it just underscores their significance to the region.
And we shouldn't forget the recognition they got for their efforts bridging the German-Italian cultural divide. The sources mention the Premio Capo Circe.
Yes.
For our listeners who may not be familiar, what does that specific Italian honor recognize?
The Premio Capo Circe is an Italian award specifically dedicated to promoting and rewarding German-Italian cultural and economic cooperation.
So for the Kessler twins, this was a direct acknowledgement of their careers in both nations.
Exactly. It recognized that their presence on Italian television and their subsequent fame had acted as a positive link between the two cultures. It was a testament to their accidental role as cultural ambassadors.
Moving now to their personal lives. The sources highlight a really remarkable fact that underlines the intensity of their twin bond, which often overshadowed their romantic lives.
Yes.
Neither sister ever married.
This is a highly notable fact, particularly given the social norms of the eras they lived through.
Hmm.
While they maintained long-term romantic relationships, the institutional commitment of marriage was absent for both of them. It emphasizes the singularity of their duo identity.
It suggests that the foundational relationship in their lives was always the one they shared with each other.
It seems that way. And we have documentation of these long-term romantic relationships.
Yeah.
We aren't isolated, but those connections seem to exist alongside their unique bond.
That's the crucial distinction.
The sources note that Ellen Kessler was famously with the Italian actor Umberto Orsini for 20 years.
20 years.
And Alice Kessler's relationships were documented with the French singer Marcel Amont and the Italian actor Enrico Maria Salerno.
So these were significant, decades-long connections, demonstrating rich private lives, yet the ultimate step of marriage was never taken by either of them.
Correct.
The power of that twin relationship is perhaps best summarized by the title of their 1996 bibliography.
Eins und eins ist eins.
One and one is one.
That title is the central metaphor of their entire existence. It isn't just a cute phrase, it's a philosophical statement about co-identity. The sources suggest that for Alice and Ellen, their individual identities were professional and emotionally merged to such an extent that separating them or prioritizing a partner over the duo was functionally impossible,
Their existence was a unified entity.
demonstrating a level of synchronous commitment rarely seen, even among twins. This singularity was the foundation of their success and the defining characteristic of their private choices.
This lifelong, enduring bond, this synchronized existence that saw them escape a divided nation, conquer the world stage, and define themselves as a unified entity. It makes the documentation of their final moment all the more historically significant.
And we must approach this final chapter with strict impartiality and profound respect, adhering only to the documented facts reported in the source material.
Agreed.
The sources are clear regarding the deeply personal decision that culminated their synchronized lives on November 17, 2025.
Yes. The factual details reported in the source material are consistent. Alice and Ellen Kessler died together and on the same day, November 17, 2025, at the age of 89.
The location was their shared home in Grunwald, Bavaria.
And we must report, as documented in multiple sources available to us, that the reported method was assisted suicide.
We state this neutrally. We note that the sources emphasize this was a joint, shared decision made in unity, reflecting the lifelong nature of their bond.
When you look back at their entire chronology, from those earliest ballet lessons in Nurchow to their escape from the GDR at 16, to their combined stardom that lasted for decades across Paris, Rome, and Hollywood, and their shared return to Grunwald, they moved as one unit.
Always.
The decision to conclude their lives together on the same day at the age of 89 is an extraordinary final act that reinforces the unique, inseparable nature of their relationship.
It's truly unprecedented in terms of celebrity documentation. The idea that a relationship could be so profound, so professionally successful, and so personally intertwined that the final, ultimate decision of life would also be a shared one.
Right.
The sources acknowledge the deep sense of loss experienced by their vast, multi-generational fan base, particularly in Germany and Italy, where they were deeply beloved cultural institutions. This synchronized departure is the final, most powerful testament to the singular identity they built together.
An identity where eins und eins ist eins was not just a title,
but a literal decree of their existence.
It provides a reflective endpoint to a career that spanned nearly 3/4 of a century of seismic cultural shifts. As we look back at the breadth of their careers, the endurance of their fame, and the very nature of their bond, what does the enduring power of a synchronized duo, who even chose to conclude their lives simultaneously, tell us about the nature of human identity when it's tied so closely to another?
It raises a profound question about codependency and co-identity versus individual autonomy. Their entire professional success was dependent upon their duality. Their lives were a perfect mirror, which offered both strength and, constraint. Their careers spanned the difficult post-war recovery, the rise of modern mass variety television, and complex cross-border celebrity that required constant reinvention.
So if their public and private self was always a single, unified performance, did that make their final synchronized decision an inevitable culmination?
It offers a unique lens through which to view human commitment. Their story suggests that for Alice and Ellen Kessler, life was defined not individually, but as an inseparable dual unit bound by shared experience and destiny.
And the choice to depart together reinforces that.
It does. For them, the end of one life meant the end of the combined identity, validating the title of their biography. It gives us much to consider regarding the power and complexity of co-identity, particularly when that bond is the very foundation of fame.
So for you, the listener, the legacy of Alice and Ellen Kessler prompts a deeper consideration. What is the true measure of a life lived when that life is defined entirely by the synchronization with another? And what do they gain and perhaps sacrifice by insisting that one and one is truly one across 8 decades?